Well, hello, free people of the Rocky Mountain region, and welcome to this Free State Colorado interview. Today, I'm joined by Senator Mark Baisley, Colorado's most pro liberty senator currently serving in the state legislature and candidate for Colorado governor. Well, Senator Baisley, I hope you're well, and thank you for joining me today.
Well, thank you, Brandon. It's always a joy to join you on your show here. It's always good conversation.
Well, viewers, as you know, the legislature is convening to balance the state budget after a nearly $1 billion tax cut was passed at the federal level. So, Senator Baisley, what do Coloradans need to know about this special session?
Well, there are three reasons that in the call when the governor called us in. One is to balance the budget again, and then to attempt to continue overspending on social issues, and then to address an artificial intelligence problem that we have with a terrible bill that was signed into law in 2024 and destined to go into effect in February of 2026. So those three things, and what people need to know is, you know, the the budget thing in the first place. We had a balanced budget, kind of. It's like a wink and a nod balanced budget that we put together by the end of the regular session that wrapped up early May. And the way they put it, they say it's has to be balanced at the moment that the governor signs it, or at the moment that we declare the budget to be balanced. And so it was really a stretch in the first place. And as you all might have known, we had to cut back $1.2 billion just to make it balance in the first place. And now we need to cut back another 1.2 billion. But put this in context. Why we are struggling to balance a $44 billion budget is beyond me, because when I first entered the legislature in 2019, it was $33 billion. And so that was not that long ago. I'm in my seventh year in the legislature, and it's gone from 33 billion to 44 billion. My goodness. So why they can't live underneath that ceiling with that kind of growth, it just lets you know just how rapidly the Democrats who've had single party control for 10 years, just how rapidly they are growing the government.
Wow. Yeah, I think that tells so much of the story to see that expansive, explosive growth in government over even
Yeah.
just those last 7 years. I mean, it's absolutely crazy to think, especially in these tougher economic times where a lot of people in Colorado are struggling to get by, struggling to afford living in our very expensive state. And here we have a state government just flush with cash, billions and billions of dollars more than they had just a few years ago, and they still can't balance it. I mean, is it just because of their priorities? Or are we to believe the Democratic talking points that this is all for infrastructure and all for just maintaining our civilization and our society? And I saw one state rep just on X the other day saying that oh my gosh, we're going to go the way of Venezuela because of all these tax cuts. I mean, what are we supposed to believe here?
Because really gonna go the way of Venezuela because of tax cuts. Now that, all right, that's political humor there. You know what? There's a wonderful organization in Colorado called the Common Sense Institute. And if you look at their website, they maintain, and they've been doing this for 8 years now, a review of the budget. It's in mathematical detail there, and it's like a living bar chart, like an animated bar chart that shows the progress over the past 25 years of what how much money's been spent where. So it's a bar chart where the bars kind of move in and out, and it is so telling to see over the past 10, 15 years or so what the priorities have been. So it goes from K-12. No surprise that K-12 funding was at the top forever until about 10 years ago when healthcare spending exceeded K-12. And it's kind of an amazing thing to see that so it went from $11 billion about 12 years ago to $16 billion on healthcare. And the K-12 has remained relatively steady, but and transportation has remained steady at 2 billion over as far back as you can look. But this healthcare one has now twice the amount that we spend on anything else. It is double what we spend on K-12. So That tells you a lot. It tells you either that we are a whole lot less healthy and we can't afford it, so the state is stepping in, or they are really reaching out to try to get as many people on Medicaid as possible, and a lot of those are not here in the country legally. So this is a development of dependency on the government, which is what the left loves to do. And so that's more than anything else. If you just look at the numbers, the biggest reason that we are stuck where we are is because of the overspending by taking on everybody's medical expenses for them.
Wow. And it seems to me, I'm a kind of a traditional type of a view of government that I have. Doesn't seem like that should be the proper role of government. I mean, is this really why we have a constitution? Why we came together as a society to create a government is to provide medical care and health care and make sure that everybody has insurance. I don't remember that being listed anywhere in the Constitution. And it just seems that when these legislators kind of stray outside of their purview and decide to really get involved in every aspect of our lives, all they end up doing is increasing costs, making life more difficult, and just distorting the market. So we have to, and it's a problem reaction solution situation where it's like, oh my gosh, we're getting involved in healthcare. Well, now all of a sudden the healthcare market's so distorted that you need more government intervention, according to them at the very least. When in reality, if they just stepped away from it, I feel like a lot of those costs would go down. I mean, am I wrong there?
You're absolutely right. And what's the biggest hook to get dependency of the individuals onto government? Well, the first one would be their income, but they rely on people to generate income in order to tax them so that they can pay for government and pay for their. But their biggest wet dream has always been, let's get them hooked on us for their medical care. That's number two. If you can get them people dependent on you for your income, that'd be the best outcome for them. But right after that is for your health care. So that's what they've been doing. So is there a role? There's a role for the indigent indigent the folks who are simply incapable through some kind of a mental incapacity to care for themselves. We need to take care of those people. But everybody else needs to pull their weight. Everybody else needs to. This is Healthcare is not some weird exception to the rule. You got to pay for changing the oil in your car and maintaining your household and maintaining your health insurance, maintaining your health care. And yeah, we're just going to have like a constitutional amendment to get away from this because I don't know another way to break them of that drug because it's incredibly expensive and it's in the way. And it's, by the way, as the Democrats are blaming the one big beautiful bill for our woes, or blaming President Trump for the financial woes, this is part of it where the one big beautiful bill says we can no longer start spending money on illegal aliens for their mental health and that sort of thing. So I've been hearing about it from the agencies within my district also about this, and it's having an effect, and they're having to lay off people, but it's something that we should not have been spending money on in the first place. So that's why they're whining, and that's why one of the excuse me, three big reasons the governor wants us to come together is try to keep all those services intact as much as possible. Not a good idea.
Yeah, not a good idea, not sustainable. And so many of these like social welfare programs, like you said, for indigent people, or maybe somebody who's going through a tough time, right? You hear about the safety net, the social safety net, whatever you want to call it, somebody who's experiencing a temporary issue and hey, sure, help them out. But it's not really supposed to be from cradle to grave that people are on these Medicaid programs and systems set up. That's not what they're for. That's not how they work. And like you said, I mean, we got to talk about the illegal alien issue here in Colorado. That is a massive problem and huge expense for our state government. So, I did see your bill, Senator Baisley, that you're co-sponsoring with Representative Richardson to save state money by restricting taxpayer funding for healthcare for illegal aliens. I mean, can you give us an idea how much do taxpayers pay for illegal aliens here in Colorado?
Um, well, here's one anecdotal hint at it. So I got a call from Jefferson County, the mental health agency, and so every county has a mental health agency, and and Jefferson County called me up, and we had a Zoom meeting because, pardon me, they wanted my support for their continuing to be funded because the one big beautiful bill cut back specifically on them for the illegal alien portion. So I figured, wow, they must have lost, two, three, four people they had to lay off because she said we had to lay people off because of this. And then she said, so we laid off 24 people. Yeah, I had that same look on my face, Brandon. I said, 24. I said, I would have figured that that would be just about your entire staff. And she says, no, we have 800 employees. 800 employees for one county for mental health. And that's that's just the county's freebie agency. That doesn't include all the private folks, private counselors and psychologists, psychiatrists, and so on. So it's the amount of money that is being spent is is enormous. And so just to give you out of that 800 employees, 24 of them were specifically dedicated, or at least that amount of full-time equivalent dedicated to uh, just the illegal alien portion. So gives you a hint. It's pretty significant.
Significant and totally irresponsible. I mean, I know so many people who are just struggling to get by here in Colorado, struggling to afford life, and they work so hard just to be able to afford a good life for their families. And then to say that here's people in the country illegally that we're supporting, that you're taking money out of my paycheck
Yeah.
to help them out to that huge tune. And I understand, I was born and raised in Jefferson County, so I understand it's a big
Mm.
county. The population's exploded in recent years for sure. But nonetheless, oh my gosh, that is not at all the proper role of government. And that should really be a wake up call to voters and people across Colorado of is why are you working so hard? You're working so hard not just to support your own family, but to support all these other people who don't even have a legal right to be in the country. I mean, it's shocking, it's upsetting, and that kind of information definitely needs to get out to more people. And that should flip seats, if you ask me, in the legislature.
Yeah. So the the IA, the illegal alien portion, is something that we will do battle over, of course. And then there's an AI portion to this too. And I have a bill that I'm also submitting that will go public today. But excuse me, I've been floating it around. Um, I wish it would solve my cough, but my AI bill, but it won't. Um, so the this terrible bill that was passed into law in 2024 and actually goes into effect in February 2026. This artificial intelligence bill, the concern of the Democrats is that AI is going to be used to discriminate against protected classes of people. So they're worried that protected classes will be discriminated against for housing and college admissions and bank loans and that sort of thing. So they they're trying to address that, and this is a nationwide issue. um, but they got, unfortunately, the majority leader in the Senate, excuse me, to carry this bill, and so he got it passed. He had to do some serious deal making with the governor to get him to sign it because he held up the governor's favorite bill unless he would sign that. And so the governor signed his bill into law with the agreement, a signed agreement, by the way, that he would get it fixed. Because here's the big problem. That bill requires that AI developers reveal the source code of their technology to the Attorney General's office, who will enforce the rules. Now, can you imagine you're turning over your intellectual property when you're a small business and you're competing against the Googles and the Microsofts and so on over the world? And here they want to reveal their intellectual property, or they want them to reveal it to the state, and then trust that the state's not going to leak that out in any manner. So we've already had one AI company leave the state over this, and I'm all about the economics here, and I'm fighting like crazy to try to defeat this problem so that we can keep our folks, we can support our AI developers and operators in the state. So I have a bill to address that very specifically. There are two other uh, competing bills for this. We'll see how it comes out, but this is actually something where I'm on the same side as the governor. I've been I've been working with his office to try to position for this. But anyway, that'll be another big battle as well. So three very disparate things, rebalance the budget, um, then try to spend as much possible on horrible things to maintain a dependency on the government for individuals, and then fix the AI debacle. That's what
Wow.
next this yeah starts this Thursday, so it's coming up.
No, and I appreciate you bringing up the AI because that seems, on some level, one of the lesser talked about points, but one of the biggest implications, And it's unfortunate that we have this pattern out of our state government here, really restricting the rights of what I would say, at least the rights of businesses to operate freely here in our state. Pushing companies out, getting rid of jobs. I mean, ultimately, that's what it comes down to when these short-sighted legislators pass restrictions on an ability of businesses to operate here for a technological company. I mean, they're just going to move. They're just going to leave. And then now Coloradans might not have access to that product, that service, those jobs. And ultimately, they're turning Coloradans into second class citizens. And you're going to see these other people just leave the state. So, I mean, I completely agree with you. I mean, the governor's right on this one, as he not very often is, but he's right on this that this AI regulation is just totally backwards. And so, archaic in a way to say, we're the state legislators. We're going to tell you AI companies how you need to operate, and we're going to guarantee that it's all ethical. It's like, come on, come on. They're incapable of that, and it's not their proper role anyway.
Right on. So, and let me tell you real fast what my bill does is it removes the those requirements that are now in place. It says that the technology companies have to reveal their source code, and it says it pulls that out of statute, and instead just says, hey, everywhere that we have restrictions that say you cannot discriminate against people based on their race for, college admissions, it would simply add the words, and that would include the use of technology. Pretty straightforward. Does not dig into anybody's business, and just kind of validates that yeah, there's technology could affect that policy, so let's not allow it. But let's not chase our companies out of the state at the same time. So yeah.
Hey, that makes a lot of sense for sure. So, Senator Baisley, do you have any predictions on how this $1 billion budget gap will be addressed?
Yeah, it's going to be a big PR battle, as people have already seen. The Democrats came out blaming Donald Trump for all of their terrific woes. We're going to make it very clear that they put us in this situation in the first place. Um, we're probably the only state that is being called in for a special session to address the one big beautiful bill. Our staff has been looking across the country, and it looks like no one else is doing it. So this is just local, just malfeasance of the budget, and we're going to have a big battle over that. Unfortunately, the other side of the aisle has total control. Excuse me. They have the majority in the Senate and the majority in the House and the governor's office. So ultimately, they will pass what they think would not embarrass themselves any more than what we can make everyone aware of. But they will get their way, which is why it's so critical that next year that we take over at least the governor's office. It'll be tough to take over the majority in the Senate or the House next year. We need a couple of cycles to do that. But that's why I'm focusing on just the governor's office so that we can start vetoing, have a conscience in the whole legislation development chain, and veto the really bad stuff, veto all the bad stuff. I can imagine if the people are honor me with that position, that I'd be vetoing a couple hundred bills every year, and I'm not exaggerating. That's what I figure it probably would be. So anyway, prediction, yeah, I think we will come to a good agreement on AI. There's a lot of softening on the majority leader's part right now. He's seeing that we're coming at him from all angles, including the industry and the governor's office and me. And I think he's going to compromise in a big way now. Um, we will rebalance the budget, but there's going to be two things happen when it comes to the spending part. They're going to try to tax more. They're going to try to maneuver around Tabor as much as they can because they're really weaselly about that and they hate Tabor. And they'll make priorities to where they will continue to spending on irresponsible items, social spending, especially in the medical area, and uh, and we'll walk away very unhappy with that one, and the people ought to be very unhappy about what they see, I'm sure.
Wow. Yeah, well, I'm going to do everything I can to kind of shine a light on what's happening down there because this is so important, especially like you said, leading up to a big election in 2026. I mean, this is a an opportunity for Coloradans to really pay attention, to understand how our state government works and see how the Democratic majority is just totally trying to make our lives even less affordable, make it more difficult for businesses to operate and take away our ability to save money and build a good life for ourselves. So I definitely appreciate you stepping up, running for governor. Just real quick, how's everything been going on the governor's campaign?
It feels good for me, Brandon. Thanks for asking. I get a whole lot of very positive response as I travel around the state, and I do that a lot. And I'm doing a lot of breakfast meetings with local folk and town hall talks and all that. So that's all anecdotal, but you know, I've got a vision for the state, and that's just to bring Colorado back to the founding principles of life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. And I can categorize all the things that I intend to change and to make better, all within those three: life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. And some I'm going to ask for some very big changes. As an example, I don't think that it makes sense for government to be teaching our kids. So I know we've had a long-standing tradition of public schools and so on, but that's where most of our social problems come from, out of public schools. The all of the gender bender things, all of the social, the folks that are getting in between parents and their students and their children, and getting themselves involved in their sexuality. How nuts is that? But that wouldn't happen in a private school because you would just take your kids out. That school would collapse if it were to do such things. But they feel emboldened to do that because they have guaranteed revenue, and they have a kind of a locked-in audience. I think we need to break those things. So watch for that. I'm proposing some bold things, but all centered around looking at how far off we are from where the founders intended this nation to be in the first place. I think we fix it by resetting constitutionally, and go back and pursue the laws of nature and of nature's God, as the Declaration was put together in the first place. Let's turn Colorado into what America always was supposed to be, and I think we'll get back in a place where we're happy to live in Colorado and stop losing so many good people to other states.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate that. I appreciate the bold stance on kind of privatizing education. I do think that is important. I mean, unfortunately, Colorado schools are in the news, national news, nearly every week for some sort of abuse scandal. Thankfully, it's been the summer, so we haven't seen it. But just right before school got out, oh my gosh, especially in Jefferson County, like you mentioned, that you represent, and other places across the state, it's like it's so dangerous these days for kids to be at public schools. Uh, whether they're exposed to drugs, to violence, to predators in positions of trust, quote unquote.
Right.
It's a bad situation, and hopefully people are ready for a change in that direction to provide better quality education for the kids and give them a better opportunity for their lives. So I think that's a bold message. I love it. I encourage you to on that and encourage people to really support that idea. But wonderful. Well, any closing thoughts, Senator Baisley? Anything else that people need to know?
Oh, just let's just chin up, and let's let's be confident that this is not a battle between um, the Democrats and Republicans. It's not like a Broncos versus the Kansas City Chiefs kind of this is a constant, eternal competition between natural law and the rebellion against the laws of nature and nature's God. So just be chin up. Let's be confident and bold, and know that the independent voters who have voted the wrong way over the past few cycles, I think they're waking up and saying, "Oh, you know what? Maybe that wasn't such a good choice. Let's go try something more attuned to what the founders had in mind in the first place." Um, yeah, I just feel confident that we're ready to make a good shift, and the nation is in that mood, as we can see nationally, and Colorado, I think, is catching up to that. So let's be confident, and let's retake our state.
Awesome. I love it. I'm an optimist. I know we will be a free state one day. We just got to put in the work, not give up. Like you said, chin up, and we can make it happen. So really appreciate you taking the time, Senator, and look forward to seeing you down at the Capitol and keep us up to date on what's going on with the special session.
You're awesome, Brandon. I love your show. Thank you.
All right. Appreciate it, sir. Take care.